To hear a sitting college football coach in the group of five discuss the breakaway that candidly was interesting. And to basically say it needs to happen. You know, so many, a lot of fans of group of five schools, they talk about they don't want that to happen because they feel like it would, lessen their product. And Will Hall is telling you that you can enhance your product by doing that. And I tend to agree with him just from the point of, and we've talked about before, that you have some schools that are spending $200-300 million a year, and you have some schools that are spending $2-3 million a year, and you're not playing the same game at that point. So why not level that playing field a little bit? Yeah, I understand that it feels like, that you're taking a step back, because there was certainly a time that Southern Mississippi could compete with and would beat Mississippi State and would beat Ole Miss and could compete and beat Alabama and LSU and schools like that. But, the world has changed a bit. And, I mean, if I'm a Southern Miss fan, I get it. I get why you remember those times. But at the same time, the thought of, hey, we could be the best of this new division and dominate there. I don't think your Saturdays are any less exciting for you if, you aren't playing Florida State, Mississippi State, things like that. And you could still play them, but then you still have something to play for outside of that, right? You're not trying to – Southern Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia are trying to win the same national championship. It's just never going to happen. Why not win a national championship with schools that are your peers in terms of what you spend financially and be the best at it? Because I agree with Will Hall that Southern Mississippi could be that best school in that division.
100%.
They could be. They have the passion. They have the recruiting base. They have the tradition. They could easily be there.
Absolutely. And so what will that look like? Who knows? But, yeah, just parroting off of you, hearing a coach not only say that that's what's probably going to happen, but express his desire for that to happen. Very interesting. That this is where we have gone. And there will be some people that are like, I hate that it's gotten to this point. And, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong for feeling that way. But there is something good that can come out of it. I know it's a bit apples to oranges, but like I tell you guys all the time, I grew up on FCS football. I grew up going to playoff games. Don't tell those players that their playoff games didn't matter. Don't tell those fans and those students that those games did not matter, because it felt like it was the biggest thing in the world that day. Nothing else mattered but what happened on those fields those days. And the same phenomenon would exist here on a bigger scale. I think it would look, if they do it right, which is a big caveat, but if they do it right, I think Southern Miss fans would end up enjoying going into a season thinking championship as opposed to bowl game.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
601-879-4395 is the text line. Dan in Hattiesburg, by the way, on the Southern Miss fans giving us grief, said, greater truth, Will Hall has never spoken.
That's true. The other thing that I think about with that, Borky, is FCS teams beat. I mean, it seems like we have a game every year where an FCS team beats an FBS team, right? There is no reason that Southern Mississippi can't put together a team that could beat SEC teams every now and then. And then you have that great moment. Can it be consistent? No, probably not, right? But can it be something that happens? For sure. Can they be competitive? For sure. But then give yourself a chance to play for something bigger than the New Orleans Bowl. Don't I feel like Southern Miss fans, they're like bringing themselves down a little bit. Like if they created a group of five division, call it whatever you want, right? And there was a legitimate playoff for a national championship, buddy, that is a national championship.
100%.
Right? You are the national champions. There's no making fun of that banner. That's a legitimate national championship that your school would have won. That would be awesome, I think. I'll be honest with you, and this is as honest as I can be. Mississippi State would probably make the cut for the top tier, right? Because they're in the SEC, they're an original SEC member, and they're going to get in. They would never win the FBS version of the national championship. I would be amazed if that ever happened. Can they be competitive and maybe get into the playoffs some years? Absolutely, they can. Can they have a top 10 team some years? Sure. They ever going to beat Georgia when it really matters? Ohio State when it really matters for a championship? I don't think so.
The only way that conversation becomes a reality is if there is a hard enforced salary cap. And that's an impossible thing because it's college students. And because you can't force a college student what college they're going to, like the NFL can force a player to go play for.
Right, you can't draft college students. Yeah. You know, it's still college. Unless you just make it into a total semi-pro developmental feeder league. And you just and then you're just licensing the college name, right?
Which
like
some
these guys
people
don't go to Mississippi
that.
State. They have talked about they don't go to Ole Miss, but they play for the Ole Miss football team's LLC. Basically, it's what they're doing there. So,
man.
It's obviously it's a nuanced discussion, and when you're a fan, and you think, I mean, if you're a fan of a school like Southern Mississippi, and you hear, break away from the Power Five, don't compete with them anymore. I get that that's a bitter pill to swallow, the thought of it. I get that, but I think the potential benefits for schools like Southern Mississippi would be huge. And I do, like I said, I agree with Coach Hall that Southern Mississippi is a program that could compete at the very top of that level.
100%. And another apples to oranges comparison, but they're two round things that you eat, so they're kind of comparable. Idaho football. Idaho was a FBS program, and they weren't competitive. Couldn't keep up financially. They were losing a lot of games. They made a really difficult decision that was highly criticized locally to go down a level. They went down a level. They're winning games. They're making the playoff, and they're filling up the Kibbie Dome. Their fans are in it because their games now have meaning attached to them. Whereas when Idaho football was in the FBS, they never played a meaningful game. A true championship, this game matters for being the last team standing game. They never played those. They do now, and everybody's locked back in.
If Southern Mississippi went 11-1 in a season like we're describing, their fans are going to be plenty happy. I guarantee it. Nobody's going to be sitting at home going, I don't go to those games because they're not any fun. I hate seeing us win like this.
The Rock would be bumping. I mean, I would do everything I could to be there. I want to see that. Playoff football. This is why we talked so much. We advocated for the playoff expansion because playoff football is incredible to be a part of. We do it at the high school level. We do it at the NFL level. And once you get in the playoff, all bets are off, right? That's the optimism and that feeling as a fan can't be replicated with a bowl game or anything else. And so that coming, hearing the advocacy of a G5 head coach was really interesting. So really thankful for his time. Will Hall is, hearing him talk football is just different. I don't know if it's the accent or just that positive energy, but when Will Hall talks football, it's like, I'm in. I want to go play right now. Give me a helmet.
The only thing we didn't ask him about, and we probably next time we have him on, and he did. I texted him to say thank you, and he was like, I'll come on whenever you want. That's a dangerous thing to tell us.
He shouldn't have said that
because we'll have you on every week. But defensively, they have to be better. I mean, this is Southern Mississippi. They've been good defensively almost my whole life. They were bad defensively last year, and giving up 40, 50 points a game. They've got to be better on that side of the ball. I trust Will Hall and Chip Long to sort things out offensively, but defensively, man, they got to be a lot better than they were a season ago.
We got this question, promotion